Club Q shooting is changing the way Colorado is encouraging people to get mental health help. National Crisis Hotline hasn't been promoted or used much since it was launched earlier this year. Then local providers found value in its resources. Here's Mark Salinger.
Colorado Crisis Services, this is Kat. May I ask who's calling?
The calls come in constantly.
Are you experiencing any suicidal ideations today?
Answered by people who are here to help.
Right now we're standing in the call center for Colorado Crisis Services and Colorado's 988 crisis line.
After a tragedy like what we saw at Club Q, Sherry Skelding sees callers mentioning the news more often.
Well, it is hard.
She's the clinical director at Rocky Mountain Crisis Partners, which operates the hotlines.
The vast majority of callers that we get, it's on their minds.
The shooting at Club Q is now changing how they're encouraging people to get help. In Colorado, the number to call for crisis services has long been 844-493-8255. The calls are answered by people who work here, who can direct people to local services.
The change in the last week or so is that we've started to talk and bring the resource of 988 more publicly.
Last July, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline launched its new 988 number. It hasn't been promoted much here and only sees a fourth of the call volume right now in the state compared to the Colorado Crisis Services line. But on that 988 line, callers have the option to get specific help from people in the LGBTQ community. It's proved helpful this week.
That option on the 988 to press 3 really gets you to someone who specializes in giving support to LGBTQ individuals.
Specific help in a time when lots are struggling to make sense of what happened. Now, there are some problems with the 988 number, which is why it hasn't really been promoted much here in Colorado. For example, let's say someone recently moved here from California and still has a California phone number. When they call that national hotline 988 number, they'll be routed to a call center in California. That makes it harder to get access to local resources that people like Colorado Crisis Services can provide.
It's a useful distinction, though, for people to know what they're getting if they call those different numbers. How does this work when there's like a mass tragedy like this? Are the calls coming in at once? Do they kind of dribble in over weeks? How does that go? Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen far too many of these in Colorado, and it's kind of a misconception that they're just bombarded with a ton of phone calls right after something like this. The people at Colorado Crisis Services tell me that it usually happens almost months later, kind of after the holidays. They're already preparing like February, March to see an increase in calls. Wow. All right, Mark Salinger, thank you.